Tonight on The Roast, the federal government to challenge a same-sex marriage bill, and Obama refuses to compromise on the debt ceiling. But first, I have a secret, and that secret is Mark Humphries. Wait, damn it.
Prime Minister Tony Abbott is refusing to change the rules on MPs' expenses entitlements, saying, "You don't want members of Parliament to be prisoners of their offices." Translation, "I still want taxpayers to pay for me to visit the Cadbury factory." And expenses aren't the only thing Abbott is getting hammered on. The federal opposition has questioned his ability to strike a free trade deal with China. Abbott, however, says Australia is trying to get the best deal we can, but we'll sign up for whatever we can get. For a first-timer, you've got to give Abbott some credit for knowing the golden rule of negotiating strategy: play desperate and agree to anything the other side offers. A $40 million class action has been launched against cash converters in a lawsuit that's set to convert cash into protracted legal proceedings. Not a great deal if you ask me. I reckon the legal costs would be better spent on a camcorder, mini disc or VHS head cleaner. Cash Converters is accused of avoiding the New South Wales interest rate cap of 48% on short-term loans, with claims that interest repayments were as high as 633%. Interest repayments on Gumtree were much lower, but you had to talk to a stranger for half an hour in their weird house. Canadian author Alice Munro has won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Congratulations, Alice, and commiserations to the authors of this book, The People Celebrity Puzzler Holiday Orama. Better luck next year. Clive Palmer, the man who likes yellow almost as much as Coldplay, held a press conference to confirm a new addition to his team, Ricky Muir, the most powerful subscriber to Four Wheel Drive magazine. During the press conference, Palmer criticised the media for their coverage of his party.
I'd just like to say, from the media's perspective, it's very important that you start giving these senators, Ricky Muir, Glenn Lazarus, Jackie Lambie and D.O. Wang, the respect that they deserve.
The respect they deserve? Clive, you don't even remember their names.
That you start giving these senators, Ricky Muir.
And at that same press conference, you called Senator Eric Abbott Erica Abbott.
Senator Abbott says he... Erica. Is it if Erica says the...
And Clive also wasn't treating the media with respect. Here he is avoiding questions from 7:30's Heather Hewitt.
And Ricky, what is your status? Because head office is...
No questions. Okay, so we're doing a Charity Abbott photo opportunity.
You know what? I'm going to leave this one to Lee Sales. Lee says it best when she says nothing at all. Finally, Indian cricketer Sachin Tendulkar is set to retire. After his final match, Tendulkar will have to answer the big question: which air conditioner do I promote? For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
I can never keep a secret. I always kiss and tell. Next up tonight, the US debt crisis. America currently stands on the precipice of the so-called fiscal cliff. And if by October 17 it has still not managed to pass a budget, then it will leap right off that cliff with about as much chance of flying as a wingless hot dog in a Flugtag contest. Now, you might remember last week we fired up our debt ceiling countdown clock. So let's check in with that now. Okay, so that clock is either showing the amount of time left until the United States runs out of money, or that is literally the amount of money the United States has left in its Dolomites account. So 10 days into the shutdown and neither side is budging. They are eyeballing each other like a confused peacock seeing its own reflection, because in any kind of stare-off, no one wants to blink first and concede defeat.
Why you never blink!
But today there appeared to be a glimmer of hope when Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner, seen here in a photo obviously taken by a Democrat, proposed a short debt limit increase with no strings attached. And then House Majority Leader Eric Cantor proposed a sit-down to deal with
pressing problems that are facing all the American people. And that includes a broad array of issues.
Yes, a broad array of issues, including Obamacare, why Obamacare is bad, and why Obamacare has to go. So filled with righteous vim and vigour, John Boehner and his posse headed over to the White House to beat Obama in a blink-off, where, as it turns out, Obama forgot to blink.
Mr. President, you know I don't want Obamacare, and I will not back down from that, but something needs to be done. So let's solve this. No!
Haha. And while Obama kept those baby browns wide open and rejected the proposal because it would not also reopen the government, it does represent a step towards a truce between the Republicans and Democrats. An important moment because it's not just America that is affected now.
It's a long way from anywhere, but even people living in Antarctica have been unable to escape the US government shutdown.
Which means Superman's Fortress of Solitude has sadly gone into receivership. But it's also affecting Australian environmental researchers relying on US data and funding. Researchers who probably thought their planet-saving work was more important than America's financial woes. Add to that, if there was anywhere you could go that was isolated from the world's economic concerns, you'd think it would be the unending frozen tundra of Antarctica.
Caught up with penguin number 342, who I've named Natasha. She's showing signs of global warming. She has a fever and is burning up. More research needed. They're cutting off my research? No. Tell President Truman it's bigger than money. This is about the future of Earth. Obama? What happened to Truman? How long have I been out here? Okay, Natasha, I'll feed you.
So the clock keeps on ticking, the eyes keep not blinking, and worst of all, the zoos stay shut. Oh, it's okay, baby John Boehner. They'll reopen soon. Just remember, it's not the gates that are causing the zoo to be shut, it's you. And speaking of denying people happiness, the ACT government has promised to push ahead with plans to legalise same-sex marriage, despite the federal government planning to challenge them in the High Court. Apparently no one in the federal government has seen the movie Milk, because otherwise they'd know they're totally being a Josh Brolin right now. But when all is said and done, can't we just roll the dice on same-sex marriage in the ACT and see what happens? It really can't destroy the country that much. I mean, when you zoom all the way out of Australia on Google Maps, it doesn't even get a dot. There's just a tokenistic stripe pointing to the general vicinity of where satellites think it is. So really, ACT is the ideal place for this social experiment to take place. If it works, we can roll out marriage equality across the country, and if it doesn't work, we can go back in time to the year 2000 and tell the Netherlands they are about to make a terrible mistake. Now, the ACT's laws are expected to pass later this month and have been described by Federal Attorney General George Brandis as a threat to the Commonwealth Marriage Act. And Brandis has defended the decision to fight the laws, stating, "It is clearly in Australia's interests that there be nationally consistent marriage laws." Well, consistency is definitely something I look for when maintaining a urine stream, but when it comes to laws, it's a little different. Jazz, my boy?
Thanks, Tom. I'm here at the border between the ACT and New South Wales. If you're a fan of consistency, it's a nightmare. To my right, same-sex couples may soon be able to get married, whereas to my left, heterosexual couples are best. The federal government wants to prevent this inconsistency by having homophobia everywhere. But apparently having different laws for heterosexuals and homosexuals wasn't an inconsistency worth addressing. The problem is, if you want the world to be consistent, there's always going to be someone who's the first to ruin things by believing things can be better. You can't be consistent and make progress, not unless 23 million people weirdly all have the same good idea simultaneously. But who am I to argue with the federal government? I'm just a voter. As such, I'm going to make sure that pesky inconsistency isn't, and never has been, a problem.
What if all women were allowed to vote? Yes, I think I shall tell my friends at secretary school.
No other women are voting. That's inconsistent. No one else has fire. Inconsistent. Oh, yeah. Hey, no one else has 2 cells. Inconsistent. Well, with that, all inconsistencies have been taken care of. You're welcome, federal government. Back to you in beautiful, consistent 2013, Tom. Just one last inconsistency to take care of.
Thanks, Jazz. Good night.